Okay, so let us begin the second part, and I hope the screen is visible to all of you. So now, the big TV screen in the control room shows an alien spacecraft. The question whether there is life on other planets exercises everybody's mind. Now everybody's mind is busy if there is any possibility of presence of life on the other planets as well. Everyone is busy thinking this. The president of the central committee is about to make an important statement. Next day, when Tilu's father went to work, he found the control room full of excitement. People were crowded round the big TV screen. It showed a dot in an otherwise clear background. Means usually the background would remain very clean, but it almost showed like there was a dot in the clear background, right? So it isn't a star. It isn't a star. This dot is actually showing something, presence of something. So it isn't a star for it's changing its position. Our computer has given a trajectory for this thing. It's heading towards us. The supervisor of the last shift explained. A spacecraft? Tilu's father asked. By now, he was joined by his teammate on the new shift. So we think, what do you mean by shift? There is a shift, there is a time when you are called by your office or the management people. Say, my shift may be from morning 8 till evening 4, and your shift may be from evening 4 till night 3 a.m. Are you able to get my word? Right. So, so we think, but it needs watching. A spacecraft. Where from? The solar system wasn't known to have any life anywhere else except on their planet. Till now, what are they of this mindset is they believe that only their planet has this life, and there is no such other planet with the possibility of existence of life. So Tilu's father recalled the ancient days recorded in the archives at the Central Bureau when their ancestors had a well developed space program and had searched the solar system with manned and unmanned spacecraft. Man means presence of man in a spacecraft, and unmanned means there is no presence of any life in the spacecraft, and found that they were indeed alone. Now, in the days of energy shortage and underground life, they had no space program. They could only watch importantly. They could only watch importantly from their vantage point. Who were these strangers? Like questions were coming to their heads, their mind. The conference room in the Central Bureau was so quiet that an outsider would have thought it was empty. Far from it. It was full to capacity. Far from it, it was full to capacity, but the members of the central committee were unusually quiet. सब बहुत चुप थे. ये खामोशी, ये साइलेंस इतना ज़्यादा अजीब था, मानो रूम में कोई भी ना हो. लेकिन the room was full to its capacity and even more than that, but they all were, like their mind went still. They all were almost speechless. Their mind was thinking. They were uh, there. There was something running in their mind. They knew that the president was going to make a momentous announcement. Momentous announcement. Okay, colleagues, I will give you the report as I have it. While I speak, there may be a change in the situation. The president paused to get his papers in order and then continued. Two spacecraft are approaching us. One is in fact orbiting our planet while the other is still far away. We guess that they are coming from our neighboring planet. What should we react? I'm sorry. Uh, how should we react? Number one, your views, please. Number one was in charge of defense. He was known for his courage and wisdom. All right, so number one is here you may predict it as the name of somebody, a code to some person who is the in charge of defense. That if some threat is very near, then how can we defend ourselves? So that person is number one, and the chief and the president has asked him to check that. He was known for his courage and wisdom. Sir, if we wish, we can totally destroy these spacecraft with our missiles, but that won't make us any wiser. We do not have the capacity to render these craft unoperational. Render also in space. But should they land, we can render them ineffective anytime we choose. Our reports say that they do not contain living beings. They only have instruments. Who is in conversation with? The president. So now listen. In the in the Monday class, one can be the president also, one can be the number one also. Able to understand? So so accordingly you can frame your dialogues also. Yes, Ankit. Yes. You do not have the power to do something. Right. So, in a way, it is. Listen, listen. I'm excusing, but listen. Here, the word simply says that the people who were simply, like gazing and looking and expressing their astonishment, they all were in a sense of shock to know that what this strange thing is, and can it be a source of big threat to their planet. So they, if it is if it is a yes, then they should immediately take some action, because they all at that moment when they saw, when they met that information that something is approaching their planet, they all stand impotently, as if they are powerless. There is no power with them that they can do something to avert the situation, to reverse the situation. Understood? Hanji, Hanji. Who was this asking me to excuse him? Say your doubt. Haha, why not? You can be anybody of your choice. It is you who has to decide, right? But let me finish this so that we can get a number of, like as the scene says, the control room was full of people. So, who are these people? And who is Tilu's father? He himself is a scientist, astronaut, astronomer. Yes or no? So you people can you can think of drafting the dialogues among two peer astronomers, scientists who are sitting in the control panel, and there is complete silence, but somehow they are talking, whispering, right? So let your imagination fly high, so that you can only, until and unless you will think this way, you will think creatively, you will not be able to frame dialogues even for your own self. Right, Swati? Should I go ahead? Right. So now, number two, your opinion, please. The president asked the scientists on the committee. I recommend non interference and passive observation. non interference, and passive observation. Since we do not know the power of the senders of these spacecraft and we are still in the dark about their intentions, हमें नहीं पता है कि ये जो चीज़ें हमें दिख रही हैं ये किसने भेजी और इनका इंटेंशन क्या है. सो हमें कुछ भी नहीं करना चाहिए. हमें ज़रा भी इंटरफेरेंस नहीं दिखानी चाहिए. हमें अपने से कोई डिफेंस के लिए एक्शन नहीं लेना चाहिए. वी शुड सिंपली सिट एंड ऑब्जर्व व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, लेट इट हैपन. पैसिव ऑब्जर्वेशन उसी को कहते हैं, है ना. इट इज वाइज नॉट टू रिवील आवर एग्जिस्टेंस. हमें चुपचाप ऐसे बैठना चाहिए दैट वी शुड नॉट लेट आवर एनिमी और दिस XYZ strange unknown identity know that there is some, some evidence or some source of living organism. There is possibility of life. Somebody is living under this planet or maybe under the surface. We should not let them know. We should not reveal them that we are here. If we destroy these spaceships or render them ineffective, we might reveal our existence. अगर हमने इनके साथ कुछ भी किया, so our existence will be blown up. Our existence will be known to world, to people, which we should not let happen. Yes or no? The president looked at number three, a social scientist. He rarely. Okay, what is the function of the second scientist? Scientist on the committee. इतना ही लिखा है ना इनके बारे में, और कुछ नहीं लिखा है. Cause the first was the in charge of defense. And what is the speciality of the second scientist? He was the. नहीं नहीं. The president asked the scientist on the committee. All right. Yeah. As of now, it appears that he was simply a scientist. Right. And the third one is a social scientist. He rarely agreed with number two. But this was one of those rare occasions when he did. ठीक है. Usually he would never agree with number two, but this was such a case where he also agreed with number two scientist. I agree with number two, sir. In fact, I will go so far as to say that we should keep our surface activities to the minimum, thus creating the impression that there is no life on this planet. Fortunately, our surface conditions do give that impression. Before the president could speak, his personal telephone rang. He lifted the receiver and listened quietly for a minute. Colleagues, he announced, the first spacecraft has landed. Okay, now this was news. All right. So we have one more part to it, right? So listen, I am keeping it till here. Let me see how long it is. Okay, I think I should keep it till here or should I read? Chalo, let me read. Tillu accompanies Tillu accompanies his father to the control room. So till now, Tillu was not given the access, but now the situation is totally changed. Now this is a life threat. People are wondering how they are going to save their own planet. Now Tillu is in the control room with his father. In his excitement, he presses the all important red button on the panel, and the mechanical hand from the alien spacecraft stops working. The mechanical hand is activated again, but it finds no signs of life on that planet. It was a red letter day in Tilu's life. Find out the meaning of this phrase, red letter day. A remarkable day that has a lot of importance in someone's life, right? The day he was waiting for his father had at last taken him to the control room, from where he could see the alien spacecraft on his TV screen. What a funny looking thing, Daddy. What does it contain? His father shook his head. Can't say for sure. We are only allowed to observe it from far. But we control all its parts and can exercise our power if it is up to any mischief. He pointed to an impressive panel with several colored buttons on it. Tillu looked at them wistfully. Look, it's up to something, Daddy. Tillu suddenly noted some movement in the spacecraft. Others in the control room saw it too. All eyes were now glued to the screen. A mechanical hand was emerging from the spacecraft. It was approaching the surface of the planet. Whose mic is on? Kindly switch off. So the hand was coming out of the spacecraft. Whose mic is on? Kindly switch it off. Aditya Dubey. No, sorry, Aditya Kumar Singh. Very bad. So some hand was coming out of the spacecraft, and it was approaching the surface of the planet. It bent and touched the soil. What was it up to? People crowded towards the screen for a closer look. The telescopic lens of the TV camera zoomed in to the tip of the mechanical hand. Tillu was staring at the control panel and its attractive buttons. An irresistible desire got hold of him. डिजायर यानी इच्छा. कैसी इच्छा? इरेजिस्टिबल, जिसको आप जिसको आप दबा नहीं सकते, आप रेजिस्ट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, आप करना, आप मतलब यू कैन नॉट स्टॉप योर सेल्फ. You fail to stop yourself. Say ice cream is kept in your front on the table, and your father has asked you not to eat it, but it was an irresistible thing. You could not resist the instruction, and you finished the ice cream. So an irresistible desire got hold of him to press the most prominent of all buttons, the red one. He moved. There was a shrill whistle, and Tillu found himself the center of attention. His father pulled him away roughly and restored the red button to neutral position, but the damage was done. The mechanical hand from the spacecraft ceased to work. At a press conference held by NASA, a scientist was briefing the world press. Everything has been going on smoothly with the Viking mission. There is a small hitch. The mechanical hand, which was to dig out the Martian soil for examination, has developed a malfunction. We don't know the cause, but our technicians are confident they will sort it out. And shortly afterwards, there was another press release from NASA. The mechanical hand is working again thanks to the efforts of our technicians. Soil samples are being collected and examined. Soon we will know the answer to the question whether there is life on Mars. Life on Mars? Of all the planets in our solar system, Mars is nearest in location and physical conditions to our Earth. So the scientists behind the Viking mission were hopeful of finding life on Mars, but they were in for a disappointment. The Viking mission found no signs of life on Mars. So do you think there was no life on Mars? What no ma'am? What no ma'am? Complete this no ma'am. Say no ma'am, there was life on Mars. Right. The people beneath the surface of this planet Mars were very much successful in not revealing their presence. Yes or no? And finally, the the Viking mission people could not identify if life was possible on Mars or not. Right? Tilu's father, you know, very appropriately neutralized that situation by pressing the neutral button, and the damage was somehow saved. Right? So that's how the chapter comes to a close, and I hope it is understood to all.